Thank you for having me here today. My name is Tosin Gbogi. I'm a poet and a scholar. Today I will be reading from my second collection of poetry, Locomotives and Other Songs. And this collection of poetry, it's about journey. So journey is the organizing principle around which all of the poems, or most of the poems in the book, sort of unfold. I will read from the first movement of the book. And in this first movement of the book, they're about what I organize them around stations, like Stations of the Cross, which is a very Catholic thing. I will read from the second station, and then I will take some other stations from the first movement of the book. And then I will go to other sections and read two other poems or three other poems from there. I start with the second station. Second station. Love bears its cross thoughtlessly. All true love is rational but irrational. All true love is thoughtful but thoughtless. All true love is bodily but bodiless. All true love does not begin, does not end. All true love does not end and then begin. All true love ends, begins, ends, begins, begins, ends, begins. All true love does not end and not begin, or begin and not end. All true love is frigid but fragile. All true love is colorless but colorful. All true love is inviolate but volatile. All true love is violet but velvety. All true love is a miracle or mirage. Some things are like that. When a nation stuffs between your legs a cunning island of pains, gambling, such a nation gambles with your love. Alluvial alliterations of sonorant moans are like that. Too facial not to be fake. That is the second station of the first movement of the book. I will read from the fourth station. Fourth station. My nation falls, descends into a cloud of smoke. Junkies smoking joints, rolling the city into a miracle of colognes, whose smell travels faster than sound, talking Dharma Bomb, Baraka, Ferlinghetti, and Ginsberg, as they roll pieces of the obscene into another sound that travels lighter than smell. These junkies are university teachers, the finest who failed in everything else, except that they are now famous for their failure, for their volatile questions and anti-readings of Derrida, translucent radicals famous for their invisibility, for their cocktail of ashes, their tongue colors, fading colors, dirty denims, their insularity, their secularity, and endless frustrations with the academy, empty laboratories, laughing gas mocking the mess, notorious nitrogen turned colorful by years of waste, fraud in the test tubes, scientists concocting data, calling them evidence and matter. Then this human academic yahoo that takes grant money to the pepper soup joint and banishes research to its tent. The finest, whose nihilism is heresy, and who for denouncing the ironies of their nation's Pentecostalism were summoned to the Inquisition for Protestantism. These junkies are failed poets, failed doubly by man and nature, poets who have continued to see every poem as another piece of postcard. To be trashed as quickly as conceived, trenchant voices who for not writing white and western, for not writing their souls, the divine arabesque of their birth, have had every one of their poems rejected, street bards who continue to roll out the best of balderdash from their weary typewriters, stifled by immaculate contemplations of the joint denier of logic. These junkies are ship dancers, their paradise lost in the liminal lights, but can recite the best of paradise regained, effortlessly, restlessly. Strip dancers who have sworn to live in a land that says to them, "Mofos, you will die dancing." It is like that. When the ghosts of sand appear on the face of a once convivial river, too true not to be the drought brought by man's thirst for thirst. And that is the fourth station of the first movement of the book. Seventh station. see stuck in traffic. Love like a cross, I carry mine with calm and quiet. Love like a journey, you and I, captives in between, search in vain for a nation's love. Then the postlude of that first movement. Postlude, counting loss. And it is not just that the one who leaves is never the same as the one who arrives. It is that in journeys, the one who leaves never returns. All right. I will read from the second movement of the book titled For the Ears of This Night. And I will read this poem because it has a kind of what you can call a masquerade chant from my hometown, Okakoko, in Ondo State. My voice seduces the ears of this night. One goyan ele kuku emini, one sebe ele kuku emini, emini. Lóbìnrin fi ń mojú ọkọ rẹ̀ Lord. Townspeople, the voice I bring today is Edes. My voice, my chants, my masks, Edes. I come in the echo of the one who traverses this market of the land, on his way to die, on his way to heaven, singing 401 songs, scarlet secrets of sensual sins, uncanny crimes, turgid tales, sassy skirts, lusty ululations in the brow of busty barracks, fleshy flies in a city of skinny size, sorry skies over a jubilant jail, fragments of phonemes in a month of conscious mess, tablets of tantalizing tears, and the rude reverberations of echoless climes. A night in a seabed of scary silence. Townspeople, the voice I bring today is Edes. My voice, my chants, my marks, Edes. And this is like a masquerade chant. And this masquerades, they are ambulant. Like in other words, they go from one place to another, and they sometimes move at night. And this is one of the songs that they normally do, sort of repurposed into poetry, in the spirit of the kinds of exploration of journey that is being taken up by this book. I would also read another poem from Tributes, and I don't think I've ever read this poem since I've been doing readings of this book, and it's for a professor of mine at Adekunle University, where I did my undergraduate studies. He was a poet, novelist. He was a true writer in the sense of writing. He passed in 2012, but I always remember him. Remember the few moments we shared. Not so many, but the few moments, the conversations we had. And that was also one of my earliest, one of the poets who first inspired me. It truly inspired me to begin to think very seriously about not making money through poetry, but but taking it up as a kind of as something that it's as organic as breath, as Professor Shinari would normally say. The poem is titled Bastards of No Nation, and it's for Tayo Olafioye. That is the name of the poet, novelist, and professor who passed many years ago. Your life was not one redolent verse of recondite songs. Tayo, the field you left last February still remains the same, except that it does not remain the same. The promise of spring that makes things green has gone back to the yellowish vomit of its autumn tail, except that the cattle egret has been murdered by man's monstrous might, and that man now joys that he has shed nature's blood in vain. They lift their voices in prayer, in fast, and with xenoglossy try to swear God to secrecy. Tayo. The night that blights the fluorescent light is the fluorescent light that blights the night. The same theft-thrift emperor that dupes the state is the self-appointed pontiff doing the penance. Or how can we explain that out of the loot made in this land, 10% goes to God, who commands us to do so? How else can we explain that xenoglossing, our clergy try to swear God to secrecy, hands deep in stolen funds, pray him to look on the faith of the faithful? Some thieving bastards are born, some thieving bastards are made, but either born or made, all bastards thieving will have their moments of mourning. Tayo, as you can see now from wherever you are, some souls will not have the benevolence of hell, but somewhere in between hell and heaven, some souls will remain roaming wraiths, bastards of no nation. And of course, the poem is very straightforward. Tayo Lafayette lived his life writing against what he described as the title of one of his books as the Parliament of Idiots. And the reality is still what we contend with today, that we are rich, yet we are poor. It's incredible. And why the land broke? Why is the land suffering? Why are people suffering? It's because we have leaders who cannot lead. But who lead? Who lead basically for their own pockets. Okay. And that poem I just read, of course, also sort of taps a lot into invectives as part of African oral tradition, so to say. Thank you very much for having me.